I've never failed in my life, right? I either win or I learn. Like, failure is just another way of looking at an opportunity. Okay, that didn't work for me. I did this wrong, or here's how I can improve upon it. So you never really fail.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Lion's Den. We have Dennis Baker, owner of Full Throttle Wraps. We're going to be talking about augmented reality for wraps for your vehicles, your office. I mean, some pretty cool technology, the metaverse, Dennis's story. Dennis, thank you so much. You have a hell of a story. Tell everybody who you are, Dennis, and thank you for being on the Den, brother.
So, yeah, Dennis Baker, owner of Full Throttle Wraps and Graphics. I also own Smart Wraps and co-owner of Trenches Apparel Company.
So let's talk about this. Full Throttle Wraps. What do you do there? It sounds like you just wrap cars. Do you leave it there? That's all. I mean, what do you do?
So I'll say this. When I first started the company, I named it Signs for Success. I grew up with my father owning a sign company, so I just assumed that everyone knew that sign companies do lettering and graphics and, promo items. That wasn't the case. So we were still doing wraps, but people didn't know that we did wraps. So about 2.5, 3 years ago, we changed it to Full Throttle Wraps, and now people don't realize that we do signs. So I don't know what I'm supposed to name my company. Should I name it Full Throttle Wraps, Signs, Promo Items, Pens? It's we do a little bit of everything, anything advertising.
So let's talk about that, anything advertising. Why should, so you work pretty much B2B, right? Everybody that comes to you wants to promote a brand, something, right?
Yeah.
Why is car wraps or office wraps? We're going to get to augmented reality and talk about the metaverse, all that stuff that I love, you love. But why would you want your car wraps? I mean, why would a guy like me that owns multiple companies want my truck wrapped? Which it is, but why?
Okay, so let's take traditional advertising, right? A newspaper, for example.
Yep.
Let's say on the low end, you're paying $300 for an ad in a newspaper.
Okay.
All right, and it's a little teeny tiny square. You're mixed in with all these other squares. It goes out to, let's say, 100,000 people. Okay, great. So for 1 week, people are going to look at that newspaper on a table. You're paying $300, hoping that all 100,000 people see it, your little square, and you get your advertising dollars back.
Dennis, I don't know if you ever advertise a newspaper, but you ain't getting an obituary for $300, brother. And I guarantee 100,000 people aren't going to see it. But I like to.
You're right.
You went in low. I appreciate that. But I can tell you right now, I mean, shit, the Courier Times here, which is, I'm not going to take a shot at them. I mean, but I don't think anyone reads it. They're more than that for an obituary, I'm assuming, or close to it.
Okay, so let's say a little bit higher end. Let's say $1,000.
There, that's what I would say. $1,000 is probably going to get you quarter page, half page, something that if someone actually does read the paper.
Right, someone who does. And especially with today's world, how many people still do, right?
Oh, yeah, my grandmom that's in the cemetery on Route 1 will read it, but go ahead, I'm with you.
Right, so you pay a one-time fee, and you're hoping that it gets out to all these people, and they see your square, and that person wants what you're selling, right? Meanwhile, you wrap your car. Okay, and let's say a big Sprinter van, right? Big time, right?
Yep.
Full size, everything. You might be $4,500 into it. A guy like me who can creatively put it on there and make it stand out in the crowd, colors, logo, everything that you want to see as you're driving down the road, make it a head turner. You paid that $4,500, but that wrap is going to last you 7, 8, 9 years. And every day that you're driving it, you're getting 10 to 50,000 views on your car. I mean, your return on investment is ridiculously high.
So I'm going to give you one even better than that, right? So you're right. The ROI, I mean, all my vehicles are wrapped for all my companies, right? It's an automatic. It's one of the first things I do but I always say this about some people. If I have to tell you what I do for a living, I messed up, right? If you know who I am and you have to say, what do you do? Then I messed up. Right? I mean, you should know what Lance Bachman does if you know who Lance Bachman is, right? I mean, so for that, that's one. Number two, it shows you're proud of your organization, who you are. You stand behind it. You're not afraid to say, this is who I am, where most people are, right? It's kind of like when you have a P.O. box on your invoice. I'll never do business with someone with a P.O. box on their invoice because why would something goes wrong? Why would I want to show up, talk to you? Where am I going? Right? So when I tell people this all the time, the person and company that's willing to car wrap their vehicles shows you, number one, they're proud of what they do and who they are, and they're going to probably do what they say, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, so think about it from that standpoint, a credibility standpoint. Nobody wants to walk into a local restaurant with their car wrap, beating people and doing the wrong things, so people say, there's the guy that beats everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to your point too with that, it makes you memorable, right?
Of course.
So having
I'm
a
memorable
good
anyway,
rap-
Dennis. So are you. I mean, you're a little thinner than me, but that's okay. I gotta get back to the gym myself.
I mean, if I ate a little bit, worked out, I'll work on that. But yeah, I mean, it makes you memorable, right? So the coolest thing that I love about wraps is, again, when done right, we can make you look like your company is massive. Like I have one guy, Jim Arnsberger, he has one van. We wrapped his van. Everyone sees it because it stands out in the crowd. And he's like, man, I get people all the time asking me how many people I have working for me. How big is my fleet? How big is my company? When done properly, I mean, it makes you look bigger, which makes you look more professional, and people trust that.
Of course. So let's get into this, right? So you've gone through a lot in your years, right? You had COVID.
Yeah.
Now, pretty much we're going to talk about how technology's changed in your industry, which technology's changed drastically in the last 5 years, and it's going to even change faster, so we'll talk about that next. But let's just talk about, there is no technology that will wrap a vehicle. You manually have to do it. You have to manually wrap the wall. There's no robotics yet, which will probably come.
Can't wait.
But it will come, but it's not there yet. COVID hits. Mm-hmm. How much of your workforce did you have to lay people off? What transpired?
So COVID initially was tough, right? Nobody was sure what was going on. We had work lined up, but I didn't know when that was going to dry up, and I didn't know what to do with my employees. Because as a small business owner, I truly do care about my employees, each and every one. It's my responsibility for them to be able to pay for the food for their families, and I take responsibility for that. So when COVID happened, I found out that they could get extra money for the unemployment. Thankfully that happened. So I said, listen, guys, I don't want to lay you off. However, this is a good opportunity for you guys to make money, and there's enough work for me to continue. So we did that initially. Now, all of a sudden, I believe it was probably 2 months in, we had that nice weather day. And as soon as we had that nice weather day, everyone came out of their caves. Everyone came out of the woodwork, and the phones started blowing up. They had all this extra money they had saved. Some companies got the PPP loans. So there was a lot of money that could go influxed into the industry. And we tried to capitalize on that. People wanted wraps done because they had the extra money to spend.
Of course.
It was hard trying to get my guys to come back, for making that a little bit extra money. But, it hurt us at first, but it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise. And we were able to adapt based on the situation. So we started selling products that we didn't sell before, like fuller graphics that said social distancing, the clear plexiglass screen protectors and stuff. So we kind of adapted to the situation to be able to move on.
How much of these things are you still selling plexiglass, social distancing?
We're not, honestly.
I didn't think so.
No, it dropped off, I'd say, realistically about almost a year ago. I mean, it was a big seller up front, and then it just kind of went off the map.
Before we got into getting into augmented reality, you were in the military. You grew up here, you moved away. Can you kind of take me through that timeline? Because you built a pretty cool company. I love the smart augmented reality that you're doing, and it's a game changer. That's why I want to really talk about that. But you kind of had a weird path.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's traditional by any means.
No.
I think one thing like most entrepreneurs that I've met, generally speaking, going through high school and stuff, like, you didn't really fit in. Traditional schooling didn't work for me. They thought I was, probably going to end up in jail, and because I was a little rambunctious.
I did literally, and I had the same type of didn't fit in high school at all. Correct.
Yeah. So I made it through high school somehow. I got out, and I didn't have any job skills. I worked for my father. He owned a sign company at our house, so I either got fired or quit every Friday, and I'd be back to work Monday, kind of thing. My girlfriend got pregnant at the time. Literally, I was on probation. Went to a recruiter's office, and I said, hey, sign me up. I said, I don't care what it is. He could have said, you're going to dig ditches the rest of your life, and I would have been okay with that. But luckily, I had a good recruiter. He got me into aviation in the Army. So went through, and one thing that stuck with me that one of my drill sergeants said is move with a sense of purpose. And I literally live my life by that. Whether it's driving, I drive with a sense of purpose. I want to get from point A to point B. or if it's work with a sense of purpose. Like just do everything to the fullest and like you want it. Whether or not, do I want to clean the toilet? No, but I want to clean the toilet like it's crystal clean.
Absolutely.
Because that's just my mentality. So anyway, I excelled in the military because of that. Became a Black Hawk pilot and did that, until I got out, did about 8.5 years, a tour in Iraq, tour in Afghanistan.
Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
Thank
that. But the job skills that I learned in terms of not necessarily the hands-on job skills, but just how to look at situations and how to approach them in the military, really like it kind of guided me when I got out to starting my own business. So a funny story, when I did get out, I researched how to start a business because I had no idea. My dad had done it, but he just kind of haphazardly did it, and it worked for him. But that was, at this point, 15 years. So so I go to the Small Business Administration. I have my business plan in this nice little 3-inch ring binder, and I sit down with 3 or 4 older guys, and they're going through, and they're like, yeah, projections look good, and this and that. And they get to the end, they said, your contingencies are left blank. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, you have to have contingencies if this fails or that fails. And I said, well, I can't fail. And they said, well, that's not a contingency. Everyone, has to expect to fail. And I said, I'm not going to fail. Like, I don't think you understand this. And again, that's just how I've always looked at everything. Like, I've never failed in my life, right? I either win or I learn. Like, failure is just another way of looking at an opportunity. Okay, that didn't work for me. I did this wrong, or here's how I can improve upon it. So you never really fail.
100%.
Just learn a different way of doing something.
If you like this content and you're trying to grow your business, follow me at Lance Bachman and Lance Bachman Digital on Facebook. LFG, time to grow. You get out of the military, what happens next? You have a daughter or a son at this point because you said she was pregnant.
Yep, so I had a son.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank
so
you.
I'm assuming he's how old now?
He's 15 now.
Okay.
16 in February.
There you go.
I'm telling you, time goes fast.
February is a great month to have a birthday. It's my birthday.
Yeah, it is. I'm March, so I'm right there. I was a little late, so maybe not as great, but.
So your son's going to be 16. Does he still live here in Pennsylvania, or?
Yep. So we actually live in Maryland. We live right at the tip of the Chesapeake Bay. I
Okay.
love being on the water. That's kind of like my calm, relax. Almost like a retreat.
Okay.
Even if I don't catch any fish, just being out there is nice. So it's a little bit of a drive up to my shop, about 45 minutes, to Oxford, just over the border. But yeah, he lives with us, and I'm trying to instill in him the drive that I have. And today's youth is just a different mindset and mentality. I mean,
why do you think that is? If you don't mind me, no, it's funny. I saw something in the post. Someone said, "What do children need today?" And someone put discipline and structure. Like, can you tell me what? Like, I have 4 children.
Yeah.
I have 3 that are under 8. So tell me, why do you think it is different compared to when we grew up, or even our parents?
So we were watching a documentary last night about Adventure Park, Adventureland, something like that. It was up in New Jersey in the 80s. And it was literally a death trap. It had all these rides that, almost every person who went got hurt some way, shape, or form. And there were a few deaths, but people knew that, and they still forced it. It was like adrenaline. It was almost like, check out my battle scars. And even in the 90s when I grew up, that was still the mentality. I mean, I was a skateboarder, snowboarder, BMX. I was the first person to jump off of a roof, adrenaline junkie. And I think it was because we had that, hard mentality of, life sucks and you just got to grit it and bear it and, be better than the next person and go hard. And soon after my generation, it was, no, everything's scary and we need to protect you. And, you can be anything you want, little Johnny, even though you're eating grass in the outfield. It almost like we babied and put this giant bubble over everyone.
Everyone has to play.
Yes. Yeah, the trophy's for everyone, right? Which degrades the person who really tried hard to
100%.
earn that. And that's a whole nother story in itself. But, my son, I've tried to instill discipline and motivation and show him that hard work does pay off, And everyone hated me for it, but I always told my son there's no such thing as Santa. I work hard to be able to give you these presents. I want you to appreciate this. And I'd like to think that it did stick. There's times where I look at him and I'm like, oh, you little turd. But I know eventually it's going to click. he's going to see it once he gets out into the real world and starts working.
Do you think social media has impacted? Because I'm going to tell you a quick story real fast. The other night I was laying in bed, my son LJ, and he saw me posting, and it was just a picture of LJ and me, and LJ coming off the mat. I think I put something like some of my favorite times, believe it or not, is whether my son wins or loses, him just coming off the mat to me. Either one of my sons, right? It's just I think it's a bond that a father, you can't break it with your child. Like, it's just, they're coming to you, they're looking at you. It's a moment of support, and you don't want too much disappointment looks, but every once in a while they do happen. But
Right.
so this thing is a bond. And he says to me, he goes, Dad, how many likes do we get? I'm like, what? He's like, let me see how many likes. Now I'm like, how's my 8-year-old son know what a like is?
Yeah.
Then I think about it, he practices with 12-year-old, 11-year-olds, 10-year-old kids that know this stuff. I'm like, he's worried and measuring likes. And then he says to me, Dad, why do some people get 500 or 1,000 likes and some only get 5? And I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is, I got to explain to my 8-year-old son now. And I kind of avoided it because I didn't want to get into it. And I haven't. But I'm going to have to sit down and say to my son, social media is so fake. And it's such bullshit. Yeah. I can show you people that have no money that look like they're millionaires. I can show you guys that are wearing sweatshirts, jeans, and they're multimillionaires, and they have no problem saying to someone, right?
Yeah.
So like it's such a bullshit platform, but yet people buy into it.
Yeah. It's a curse and a blessing, honestly, the way I look at it. I don't have a personal Facebook account. I have a business account because it's very good for a business platform. It's a way to get your brand out to a large number of people who maybe wouldn't normally see it.
Of course.
And same thing with Instagram, whatever social media you want to talk about. It's a great platform when used correctly. I think what's messed up in our society is that we idolize these people who shouldn't be idolized. Like, for example, I think we do some really awesome raps. Maybe that's a little biased, but we'll work really hard, spend an entire week on a rap, and I post it and I try to get good angles, and we'll get 30, 40, 50 likes, something like that. Meanwhile, there'll be, some 18-year-old girl with half of a shirt taking a selfie with duck lips, and she gets 2.2 million likes. I mean, what's wrong with that picture?
Well, you're right. Sex sells. That's been since the beginning of time. I mean, that's not going to change anytime soon. That's just, honestly, when people say to me, should you be locked up for being a prostitute? I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, it's the oldest profession in the world, and who gives a shit, right? So sex sells, right? Like, that's just the facts of the matter. That you're going to see on social media all the time. People just flaunting, and I actually, it's funny. I saw a meme of a young girl that's like an astronaut, and she was all these amazing things. And they had another, I think it was Jenner, right? Like one of the Jenners. And they're like, no one knows who this girl is, but people were trying to raise their daughters to be this and not this. And same goes for men. It's saying about
right,
but it's really crazy if you think about it.
Yeah,
it's insane. I think also where social media comes into is everyone wants acceptance, where I try and tell my children, you can't worry about that, because as you grow, whatever you do, your success, whatever I always say to people, you don't have to believe in my vision, but I believe in my vision. So if you don't see my vision, get away from me.
Yes.
I can't make a small-minded person see what I see.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I know where I'm going with blindfolders on in my life for as long as I'm here.
Yep.
With me, my family, my children, work, whatever it may be. You can't make someone around you see what you see. So if they can't see it, you got to get someone else in their seat.
Yes.
Social media, giving everyone a voice to scream, yell at you. So you got to just kind of not post anything on there that way. So here's another example for you. My son has red Converse, LJ. He loves his red Converse. His mom gets them. I didn't even know he made these sneakers anymore, but whatever. I mean, but he loved them. Every day over the break, he wore them. He goes to school. He doesn't want to wear them. I'm like, what's wrong, son? He's like, this little girl has them in my class, and she was laughing at me saying, I'm a copycat, I'm a loser, this and that. So my kids go to a private school in Newtown, right? And whatever. I guess everyone just thinks they're the wealthiest person in the world. Like, that matters. So I just said, son, I'm going to teach you something about life right now. There's a life lesson you're going to take from everywhere. That little girl's parents are a loser. They're losers. They taught her the wrong things. Because for her to speak like that comes from her parents, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we got you this. You're special. There's probably been over 6 million of these Converses, red Converses, sold throughout the world right now at this point, if not more.
Yeah.
The person that invented them had a unique ideal, and he came back from when I was a kid. Right? We had white Converses, now they're just red. I don't know if red was back when I was a kid. I said, so there's nothing unique about this girl except for one or two things. She doesn't know how to behave and act because she's insecure of herself. But why does she worry about what you're wearing when it doesn't affect her? So I said, when you wear those shoes and you wear them proud, I said, when she says something to you, I said, what you want to say to her in front of all of her friends is, listen, one or two things. You clearly dig me and you think I'm a good-looking kid and you want to talk to me, so I'll talk to you and we have a red Converse conversation and hang out on the playground here.
I like that.
Or, hey, listen, you're very insecure about yourself, and I understand you have to try and humiliate someone else to make yourself feel better for whatever insecurities you have, but don't do it to me. Don't pick on me or any other kids here because your friends actually don't like it, and they don't like when you do it to them, so why do it to anyone at all?
Yeah.
He went to school that day, girl says something to him, and he hit her with the line, and she just stopped. And there were two friends, he said, just looked at her and was like, yeah, why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, you almost got to address it to that low of a level.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how bad it's gotten. Social media, people, craziness.
Well, when we were kids too, we didn't have all of this. We didn't have the technology, the phones, or anything like that. So you only hung out with your peers, and those are the only people that you had to worry about, whether it was impressing them or not. And now you're dealing with the entire world at the fingertips, and everyone is so powerful, and they're so bold behind a screen, not in real life, face to face.
Nobody would say 1/10 of the things they say about you to your face.
No.
Not 1/100th.
No.
But that's okay because social media gives that outlet. So when people, and I told my son, people are going to take shots at your whole life. If you're the starting quarterback on your team, someone else is going to think they deserve that position over you. So if you're the starting wrestler, no matter what, if you get the prom queen, right? If you get the beautiful older woman, whatever it may be, someone else believes they're entitled to that and they should have that.
Yeah.
You can't worry about what they think.
No.
But so many people do. And I think social media has made people so stir crazy, counting likes, counting this, looking at views. And I try and tell people, just keep doing what you're doing and staying the course. It's going to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said something earlier, basically about your dreams, and where they're headed. And if you don't believe, if you can't see that, I'm sorry for you. I mean, I definitely feel that way too. I mean, whether it was Full Throttle Wraps or whether it was the augmented reality side, I love my dad to death, and I'm very proud of him, and he's proud of me for what I've done. But he grew up in a small town. He never really wanted much out of life. He wanted to get by, but he doesn't want a big company. He doesn't care about making millions of dollars. Like, that was never his plan. So when I came to him and I said, look, I've got this great idea. This is what I think. Oh, no, son, you don't want to do that. Just keep it small. Stay in your garage and have 2 or 3 guys, because then you're going to have all this overhead. Not everyone dreams that big. If my dreams don't scare people, then they're not worth going after. I mean, that's how I feel.
No doubt.
You know?
So let's talk about this augmented reality. First, tell everybody what it is so they understand. Because a lot of people aren't going to understand. We're gonna lose some people here, but stay tuned, because trust me, this is the way, if you own a business, that you're gonna capture people's attention. So go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of people say that they don't understand what augmented reality is. However, they use it every day and they don't even realize it. So let's take, for example, Snapchat or Instagram filters, right? The little cute bunny face that when you selfie and you have the ears and everything, that's a form of augmented reality. What you're basically doing is doing a digital overlay into the real world. So it's adapting your digital, life and your real life and just kind of blurring the lines between them. So with that, I mean, I'm sure people have heard of the metaverse that they're building.
A lot of people are not going to know what the metaverse is. Trust me.
I'll be honest. Not many of us who even know about it know what it's going to be.
Well, it's going to be changing. They're thinking of it. They're talking about it. I mean, there's so many things that are. I mean, there's a reason why Facebook came up with the name Meta.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Let's be realistic here. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell people what it kind of is.
So there's a couple ways of looking at it, right? Some people think it's going to be like that movie Ready Player One, where you have your avatar and people are just in this digital world. Now, however, that's more VR, virtual reality. You're not really mixing the real world with that. That's a separate world. So in my mind, the metaverse is going to be more of augmented reality, which is blurring the lines between that digital world and real world. So let's say, for example,
Use me as the example at the trade show.
okay,
That's a good one. That's a great one.
It
We're
is.
going to do that.
Yeah. So there's the best way I can say how to look at augmented reality is anything that you can think of and dream of can be done. I mean, like literally anything. Your dreams are not too big for this. So I had given you the example earlier. Okay, so we're in this room. We're recording you talking about One SEO and what One SEO can do. So we have cameras all around you. We're taking an actual 3D image of you. Now, we go to a trade show. You can't be there for whatever reason. So let's say your booth has an image of you standing up, one of those 3D cutouts. Now, someone could scan that, and it would literally, you come to life. You could step out of this 3D cutout, and it could be you talking about it. Now, you're not really there, but they're seeing this recording through their phone, through their tablet, some type of device like that.
And it's more of a hologram type recording where it's 3D. You can actually turn your phone, your tablet, see the different
Yes.
size. I can move to it. So it's just not a
Yes.
typical video. Hi, I'm Lance Bachman. It's a kick-ass, like a zombie coming at you type thing if I want, right?
Yeah, the most simplest terms is, okay, we did a promo ad for Modelo. A lot of people don't know about this because of the way that we presented it. It kind of had a slow start. But basically, Mr. Cartoon had drawn this cool design for Modelo, for Dia de los Muertos. So what Modelo did was they took all these box trucks, they wrapped them with this design on the side, and then they took them to different cities. Well, we adapted, there's a commercial for Modelo with Mr. Cartoon in it. We literally just took that 30-second commercial. When you scan the side of the box truck of the image was the marker, and then all of a sudden that video played on the side of the box truck. So that's the most simplistic term, right? Adding a video onto something. But moving forward, I mean, we could do literally like you go to a trade show, you have the face of a lion on the front of your car that's at the trade show booth. You scan that, the lion comes to life, jumps out of the hood of the car, starts walking into the crowd. People can take selfies with it, hashtags, everything. And then there could be fireworks going off in the background. There's music playing, and then you climb out of the car, and now you're talking about One SEO.
No doubt. Here's a question for you. Your company's growing, Augmented's growing. How does digital marketing play into the growth of your business so far, and how will it continue to grow? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So I'd like to talk about the benefits of this technology with the digital marketing, right? So basically with digital marketing, the key being that you're able to pinpoint where you're putting your dollars, right? And what's working and what's not. So when you have something like augmented reality that you're adding, you're getting that customer engagement. They're having an experience. Now, everyone registers their phone, they have their name, all of this stuff, Gmail's connected, Facebook's connected. So that little I acknowledge box that everyone checks that they never read is basically saying, hey, I'm collecting your data, right? So I'll give you an example. We created a fake pest control company. We wrapped the side of this van, and when you scan the side of the van, it turned into a game, a 30-second game where bugs crawled on the van, and you had to pop the bugs, and you got points. Well, in order to be on the leaderboard, it was a live leaderboard, you had to input your email address. So at a minimum, I just data captured your email address.
Correct.
So now I can, post that out. Now, the zombie that we created on the hood of a car, when you take selfies of it, you can upload that to social media. When you log in with Facebook or Instagram, you're acknowledging that we can capture your data. So I know your age, sex, location, I know your phone, I know how many times you saw it, how many times you viewed it, how many times you sent it to friends. That's essentially with the digital marketing what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to create who your audience is
100%.
and how they're seeing it. So it kind of ties together, really. And you can use that and exploit it. Another thing that you can do with augmented reality is you can literally put like information on a bubble that's floating out in 3D world. So again, going back to like you being out there and talking about One SEO, you could have a bubble floating nearby that says, click here to learn more. and you click on that, and then boom, now you have another funnel to drive people to. So they really work hand in hand, honestly.
My question for you is this: what is your goals for 2022? Like everyone, it's the beginning of the year, people are fired up. What's Full Throttle Wraps? What's your goals, Dennis? What's your biggest goals right now?
Well, honestly, I'm kind of going in 10 different directions. That's just my personality. That's how I work, and I just keep going. So with Full Throttle Wraps, we're slowly growing Full Throttle Wraps. We've seen on average over the past 8 years, increase of about 23.1% in sales every year. Last year, working with one SEO, we've seen 35% increase in sales in just that 1 year. And it was an up and down year. It was crazy.
And you still had 35% growth.
Still at 35% growth. So
crazy.
We're going to continue to grow that in its own self. We're looking for team members, trying to hire. We need production guys. I need, designers, everything, which we kind of touch base on, but that's a whole other issue in itself, trying to find employees. We're trying to do that.
Before we talk about the plan, you touched on something. I don't mean to cut you off.
Sure.
What is your plan to get employees? Because we have 2 full-time recruiters you can see in our office. I have 2 full-time. TJ runs our HR. We have a full-time recruiter.
Man,
what are you going to do?
I'll tell you, it's
You can't give up.
You can't. It's an interesting time. I always tell people it's a great time to be alive right now. Whether you like it or you don't, it's interesting.
I don't think we'll ever see this shit again in our lifetime.
I hope not.
Now, I'm not talking about COVID. I'm just talking about the human behavior of they stopped giving the free money out and people still don't want to work.
No. And I don't know if it's the entitlement that the past few generations have just shoved down everyone's throats or what. The people that I've been hiring that are younger, 0 job skills. Literally none. Mm-hmm. And you can tell, I recently had a kid who had a great personality. You could tell he was raised good, and raised to be proper and said all the right things. But when it came down to it, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but he didn't even know how to take the drill bit out of a drill gun. Just something simple task. This generation is almost lacking, out of the box thinking, and how to problem solve. Maybe it's the video games because it tells you step by step on what you got to do to accomplish the mission. I don't know.
It's crazy you say that. So I have a guy here in my office. I think you're having lunch with him today, Cody.
Yes. Cody's a great dude.
He can solve a Rubik's Cube. A Rubik's Cube.
I did not know that about Cody.
Because so I don't know if you know Rubik's Cubes are back bigger than ever.
They are?
Oh my God, my sons are obsessed. I must have, no lie, 50 Rubik's Cubes in my house. Oh, they make them in circles now. They make them in all different shapes.
I have seen that.
There's all different these Rubik's Cubes, right? They make them now small Rubik's Cubes, big Rubik's Cubes. It's Rubik's Cubes all over, right? There's a YouTube channel. Rubik's Cube Schooling teaches you how to solve the Rubik's Cube. That's one thing.
I know that.
So now my sons, both obsessed, because Cody told me this, literally can solve a Rubik's Cube and they work on it. Now the best one is there's a step-by-step that integrates with your phone and tells you what to do when you buy the Rubik's Cube. It's Bluetooth connected and it sees where every color is and it tells you step by step by step. Talk about making life simple.
Yeah.
When we got handed a Rubik's Cube, the only way we were putting it together, smash against the wall and put it back together.
Oh, I took those stickers off right away.
It's literally, so talk about making life easy. There is no critical thinking anymore. There is no problem solving skills.
No.
There's really not.
No. And we've been sheltering them so much. I think, and this is a personal opinion, is that life is ugly. Life is gritty. You cannot get ahead just by being handed everything. I've had to work hard for everything that I've got, and I'll continue to work hard, even if it's not necessary. That's just my drive and my mentality. These kids nowadays, coming into the workforce, they just think, oh, I went to college, so I need to make $75,000. Well, that's great and all, but you don't even know how to use Excel spreadsheet.
I went to college. I'm not being rude here. I went to college, executive MBA. I think college, and I'll say this in front of everyone, my kids will have to go to college or trade school, one or the other, if not both. I think college is the biggest joke, farce. You have people teaching that never did.
Yeah.
Think about this. Where does social studies come into play in business? I'm not being rude here. I understand micro, macroeconomics, understand the accounting side, understand all that. English, right? Unless I'm going to be an English literature major. Why am I taking English in college? If I know how to, I have Google, I have spell check. I mean, it's so barbaric, college. Mathematics, I think it's hilarious when they say you have to pass algebra 1 or algebra. For what? Where do I ever use algebra again unless that's what I'm going to use? Like, no one in here is using algebra.
Right.
We have code. We know what to do. We have Excel. We have calculators. We have accountants. Where?
I'll tell you, it's crazy if you think about it. I mean,
$200,000 in debt to come out with, literally, like you said, not one life skill.
do they know how to do taxes?
No.
No.
They don't know how to even manage a checkbook when you come out. They don't.
Right.
They don't understand credit scores. They don't talk about credit scores. They don't talk about P&Ls unless you're taking business courses. They don't talk about marketing, advertising, how to run a business. College is geared for communism. I truly believe that. Anymore, I say. I know it sounds terrible to go out and get a 35, 40-hour a week job to one of these big corporate companies or be a teacher, and at the end of 30 years, what'd you get?
Yeah.
Where if you go work for a family-owned business or some of these smaller companies, they'll take care of their better employees for life, and you're just not a number.
Yeah.
There's no one here that's a number that's a good employee here. We try and take care of all of our best employees.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do the same thing. You don't want to lose them.
Absolutely.
AT&T and Verizon, these big companies, they don't give a shit who they lose. And that's not a shot at AT&T. It's just the wheels, the business is too big. They don't care.
Yeah. And that happens. I mean, traditional schooling teaches you how to be an employee. It does
Of course.
not teach you how to think outside of the box. It does not teach you the life skills to be an entrepreneur and to run a business. It's just a completely different mindset. And that's why I've read that most entrepreneurs failed in traditional schooling or just didn't really take that as into account in their life and, just almost looked at it as a joke. And it's true.
Here's a true story, and I shouldn't say, I'll say it. My son's 8 years old. I've never walked in, met one of his teachers. I've never sat in parent conference night. I've never looked at one of my son's report cards. This is a true story. True. All I ask my wife is, does he get along with other kids? Is he social? Can he read? And is he good at math?
Yeah.
Yes, those things. We're good.
Yeah.
Does he behave? Right? I mean, I don't want to hear all the extra, LJ's a little bit hyper. Of course he is. I'm his father. What do you think he's going to be? You think he's going to be a wallflower? Right? No, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't sit in school. You probably couldn't sit in school. I was chomping at the bit for recess. It's funny. They really do, like you said, set you up for a 40-hour work week, and not everyone's built. And there's nothing wrong with doing that if that's what you want to do.
Right. Stay inside the lines. You pass, you fail. There's no thinking outside of the box.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I can tell you this. If people truly knew, you have to be transparent with your numbers, right? You can't just go sign checks bailout bills and all this stuff, fake money, right? Right? You'd be in prison. These people aren't. And I think that's the problem. If you understood how life really worked for the everyday person out there, employing hundreds of people or whatever it may be, you got to play by a certain set of rules, and you're taking a lot of risk. When I hear people say, so I had a girl that worked here for me for a little bit. Nice girl. I wish her nothing but the best. I said, I can give you the 7 rules that I truly believe you'll be a millionaire. And she looked at me because she believed in wealth distribution. She believes in everyone should see it, right? And I said, well, just do what I did for the last 28 years. Just work 12 to 15 hours every day, 6-7 days a week. And I said, that's rule number 1. You'll be a millionaire. It's impossible not to be. You know that. It's impossible not to be. If you work 12 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, you will be. I don't care if you're cutting grass. I don't care if you're removing trees, painting, trash, 1 SEO, wraps. I don't care what you're doing. You're going to become a millionaire.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. I don't want to work that hard. She stopped at rule number 1. I don't want to work that hard.
Most people do.
I know, but just think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. Here's a question for your final roar.
All right.
What are you predicting is going to be the biggest thing for 2022 for small businesses that could change? If you had a game changer, what would you say jump right into?
Adapt to technology. I mean, again, we touched base about this metaverse. Whether you believe in it or not, whether you like it or not, augmented reality and virtual reality, that's the next thing in marketing, in business. I mean, it's going to be like the movies that you see, where it's like 2050 and you're walking around and there's all these 3D augmented reality, advertisements and, live nude girls and they're like 3D hologram. Where do you think like Star Wars and all that stuff, all that's coming true. And that's in the very near future. I mean, I'm not talking 50 years from now. We're probably within 5 to 10 years going to have augmented reality everywhere.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
virtual reality you can get now. It's so dirt cheap. I think I saw it for $300 virtual reality games.
Yeah.
$300. If I said that to you 10 years ago, think about this. What's an Apple Watch cost? I'm just curious.
Honestly, I don't know. It's got to be $200.
$300,
yeah.
right? You can go get a virtual reality game for the same price as an Apple Watch.
Yeah. And nowadays, your phones, if you're buying the newer Samsungs and the new Apples, it has augmented reality in it already. If you don't know, look on your phone. It has an AR, VR spot. I mean, and this is not essentially free. I mean, you have to buy the phone. But this is technology that you can utilize right now. You can put a Pokemon 3D in your living room and look at it. I mean, that's essentially step one, right?
No.
Get everyone interested, let them know what it is, and then when you get to the marketing side, push it down their throat. I mean, this is the next thing. And if people aren't ready to adapt and to jump onto that train, then you're going to get passed.
I'm going to tell you, just to sum that up, when you hear the word old school, I tell people it means you're going to be literally dead school. Because I hear people say to me all the time, well, I'm old school. I don't use a computer. I won't do this. Bye. See ya.
Adapt and overcome.
Everyone, thank you so much, Dennis, for being on the Den. Check out Full Throttle Wraps. Augmented reality. I'm telling you right now, everyone, you own a small business, big business, doesn't matter. You got to jump into this. It's game changing. It's going to be here. I actually believe it's here now. I do. I don't think it's the way of the future. I think it's here now. I think you as a company can really separate yourself with augmented reality. What do you see what One SEO does with it? We look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.